What's up, friends and family? It's Brian Castrillo, and my goodness, I just watched episode 5 of The Terminalist, and this series just gets better and better. Literally every episode I've watched has been amazing. If you ever heard of any type of movie or show that says it's like a roller coaster ride that just keeps going, that is The Terminalist. Because I swear to God, like every moment of this, it just kept getting crazier and crazier, and just got more exciting, where you cannot, look away from this TV, because just wow. So anyways, we begin this with Reece. He's in Iraq back in 2007. He's having a flashback, and it's Reece, Boozer, Ben, and Donnie who find out about branch warrant officer Liz. This is the same woman who's been helping him, godmother of his children, or his daughter rather. And this is how Reece remembers this. But there's a few problems with this, because Donnie was too young and would not have been there for 2007. And then, of course, he sees his daughter there. And I'm not sure if Liz was actually there, but at least in the memory, she was there. And he sees and he's showing that he's having these flashbacks, and his memory isn't really all there. And again, this is the PTSD that I've been talking about, and of course we know he has a tumor in his head, but he sees his daughter in this memory. And so we come back to present day. We got and of course Donnie, why it can't be Donnie is because Donnie died in the Syrian ambush, which is what started this whole thing. And of course, they went in this memory. They went to go save this woman against orders of whoever was giving the orders at that time. Now, back to present day, we got Liz and Reece. They got everything on the board of what their plan of attack is, and they decide to go Reece decides that Capstone Industries is the best method. Got to go straight there. Of course, this is in the middle of San Francisco financial district. This is not going to be easy, but again, Reece is a Navy SEAL, so if anybody understands tactic and it's him. I mean, he was the commander of his platoon. And as we see Horn, he seems to have one of the senators in his pocket. We see him interviewing him, and clearly this senator is on the take, and he's in kind of Horn's back pocket. He talks about saying the cigar is on him. And of course, Mike Tedesco, who is kind of the head of one of the pharmaceuticals that is part of this whole deal that's going on. He's watching this, and then he goes in there to have and kind of have his discussion with Horn. Now, Horn kind of they obviously have a history, and he kind of argues with him the point a little bit about about his vision. And you could see Mike is having a lot of seems to be having second guesses about what his role is, and he talked about, I'll just sell you the RD 4895, and then just let me keep my company. Well, everybody's happy, but Horn's like, nah, we're selling everything. So Horn clearly has something on him, and Mike definitely seems nervous. Now, we also see Katie, who ends up interviewing Mike Tedesco alongside, I guess, his lawyer or something, who eventually Mike gets up and takes off, and of course Katie's gonna fall and being the the journalist that she is, and she corners him in the bathroom, and she gets him to talk about RD 4895, and you can tell just there that he's very hesitant. He looks scared, and because he knows who Steve Horn is. Now, if you go back, you remember Steve Horn. He clearly had some sort of military training. We watched him do those drills where he's going through the door through that building. So Mike Tedesco is very nervous at this point. And then also the U.S. Marshals, the ones who've been kind of kind of taken over this whole thing, they are interviewing Horn. And one of the ladies seems very mistrusting of Horn. She calls him an asshole. But really tense moment. Like, seriously, the direction of this and production and how this story is being told is absolutely brilliant. And it literally keeps you on edge. Like, you are so invested in this series, and every moment, and what people are saying, there is not a lull in this entire episode. It just keeps building and building. Now, eventually Mike leaves the bathroom, but he hands her a flash drive with all this information that he had previously downloaded, and this was after a meeting with one of the final deals that Steve Horn is trying to secure. But he hands his flash drive with all the information, the damning information on Horn, names of everybody who is going to profit off of this. This comes into play a little bit later. Now we go back to where Reece is and Liz, and she's noticing as they're going over their plan that he has these hand tremors, and he's talking about building an EFP, and she's not really down with that because he wants to basically kill Horn. Obviously, he's on this list, and she's like, just, I don't want to take out any civilians. This cannot be. And he talks about how these are kind of precise, explosions, and this will take him out. And there'll be no civilians. If there is, we'll cancel. And this is where it just gets getting crazy. The climax, I'm telling you, this final scene was dope. So anyways, Steve, he knew about Mike because one of his guys comes into his office, and he basically says, I don't know what Mike did, but he copied something, and they know about Katie. So this assassin, follows Katie. Now, Katie previously had told him, he gave her the information on how to contact her, but she told him, don't take your cell phone with you. Of course, this comes into play again. You remember what Reece had said earlier, this, this is how they can track you. But he ends up meeting her in this train station, and this assassin comes looking for her. Of course, Reece is already kind of in the area, and Katie sees the guy who's coming after her, and they start going up the stairs. He's chasing them, ends up shooting Mike right in the back of the head. I was like, dang, the music that's playing is just really, it's perfect for the scene, and throughout the entire episode. And then all of a sudden, he's chasing Katie up the stairs, who turns around and ends up killing him. Like I was not expecting. I thought Reece was gonna come out and save her at this point, but no, she shot this assassin coming out, and she's breathing heavy. And just as she's leaving the building, we see another assassin coming up, and he's just about to pull the gun and shoot Katie, and then all of a sudden, and you see this guy's head get shot, and of course it's Reece at the last second, just because he has that training. And wow, that scene was great. But then he takes her to this kind of alleyway, and she's all in shock. She's breathing heavy. She's got blood everywhere. She's not ready for this, and Reece is just basically saying, I want the names. I want the names. He's kind of demanding her, and she's, of course, wants the story. That's the journalist that she is. And he's like, no, the people that are behind this, they're not going to be there for the story. And he even points a gun at her and tells her to take off, while he takes the flash drive and kind of foils her plan, and gives that to his brother, asks him to kind of look into it. And wow, what Ben found out, of course, played by Taylor Kitsch, this changes everything. But now we're coming up onto the San Francisco moment. You got Horn coming out with all of his people. Liz, of course, is there. She's pretending to be a flower person in her van, which the U.S. Marshals notice. And Horn's coming out with all the security. Now, right before we get into this, we do know that our RD4895, what we found out, it's an experimental drug by New Bellum Pharmaceuticals, and this was supposed to cure PTSD. And but they knew that there were that soldiers. They basically tested it on the Syrian team, Reece's team, and that's why all of them were getting these tumors in their head. And right, also now I set up that scene in San Francisco. Horn is coming out with his men and everything, but right before that we get a Secretary of Defense Hartley. She finds out that her assistant Richard Fontana was helping Horn, and she basically tells him, we're going to use you as to kind of get to all this, find out everything. And he's like, oh, you're going to have me talk both sides, and she's like, no, we're basically just going to use and kind of make an example out of you, which that was a great scene. All leads up to this, and here comes Reece, and Horn's coming out, and just the last second we see Katie come up and said, and this was after Horn had got on TV and basically blamed Reece for everything, which I mean Reece is doing his thing, but now it's out in the media, his name is out there, and just as he gets into this, we see Katie. And you can still see on the camera, he's still being filmed. So someone got this on where he says that you're the one who went and killed Mike. I know this, and she basically kind of threw him under the bus. And then you see Reece looking across the road, and she sees him. And then she knows something's about to happen. She starts backing up, and and he's got the EFP in his van. He steps out, she's backing up, and the explosion is like, it went off, it sent something into his truck, which you see some of his men come out, and he's burnt up pretty bad. And there's a shootout, and Reece comes out with his sniper, and just an amazing firefight right in the middle of San Francisco. My God, this scene was amazing. And of course the U.S. Marshals, like I said, they found Liz. I don't know if she got away, but Reece definitely did. And we see Katie was okay. He did kind of check on her, but he ends up taking off. But she was kind of blown back a little bit, but she was otherwise okay. And then what Ben tells Reece at the end, my goodness, we find out that the names that were profiting this, that were kind of behind this, was Admiral Pillar. Remember that fight that he had with them, Commander Cox and Captain Howard. So the very people that sent him into battle were the ones that were okaying him to be, and his men to basically be tested on. And the military was testing with this new drug. But we know that even though Reece came up and ended up killing Steve Horn, but right prior to that, we find out that the deal went through. So this deal is going forward. The question is who's in charge now? Now, I thought Steve was going to put up a better fight, but Reece is fucking an assassin. He is badass. But he's having these PTSD issues. We see the tremors, we see the memory lapse. And now we know that he knows that Admiral Pillar, Commander Cox, and Captain Howard are behind this, so they are on the terminal list. What is going to happen next? Did you guys love this as much as I did? The action sequences were fucking amazing. Just wow, I am blown away by this episode. This series is absolutely amazing. I can't wait for episode 6, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of episode 5? If you're past me, please don't spoil it for anybody watching or even myself. But are you guys loving this like I am? Because I am blown away by this episode. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown. Love you guys, and I'll see you on episode 6.